Welcome to Nerd on Nerd with me, Ellie Kempster.
And me, Liam Underwood.
Why are you so happy? What?
What?
This is weird. I don't know. Is this 2018 the year of optimism? Has it lasted?
Yeah.
Sweet. I'm excited. Sorry, it just blew my mind. You were so happy.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about The Wicked and the Divine, Volume 1, The Faust Act. Am I saying that right? The Faust Act.
I think it's Faust.
The Faust Act. So, you know, that's a comic book. You can look forward to that later. First, it's catching up with Ellie and Liam. So, how's it going, Ellie?
I crashed my car. I told everyone at work about the transition and tons of other stuff. It's all exciting over here, Liam.
Right, well, there's a lot to dive into there.
Yeah?
Let's start with
Which
the car,
bit?
shall we?
What about the car? Just crashed it again, didn't I?
Again, so this is the second time in how many months?
About 6.
About 6 months. Okay. Not great, though.
No, but it's not as bad.
As what?
Like twice in a week.
Yeah, I guess.
So positives.
Your insurance is going to be interesting.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I might just stop driving.
How does this keep happening?
I don't know.
Because that's concerning.
No, well, it's not. The thing is, Liam, it's all learning experiences.
Do you remember when you first got your car?
Yeah.
And we were talking about the sat-nav and how ridiculously placed it is?
Yeah, and how both times I've crashed my car are when the sat-nav's not been on.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if that had anything to do with it.
No, not at all.
So you can't even use that as an excuse?
No, I just crashed my car. It wasn't a bad crash, this one.
Well, that's good.
Not as bad as the first one.
Yeah, but...
No, it's just that.
So, okay, what this time, what happened?
I reversed into someone's car at a supermarket.
Well, and how did they react?
They were angry.
Oh, were they?
Their exact words were, "How the fuck did you not see my car?" To which I responded, "I don't know, I'm sorry."
Wow. That's the thing that almost like would worry me the most, is how that person would react.
I mean, the simple way of like not dealing with it, because it's just my natural way of reacting, but like if you're apologetic, which I am, I've never understood the idea of like, you know, there's that sort of, there are people who have an accident and then try and blame the other person when it's their fault.
Yeah.
They're like, oh God, how could you have been so stupid?
Well, I think if it's 100% your fault, you have to own it, right?
But I probably would anyway. Someone could crash into me and I'd probably tell them I'm really sorry.
Oh, you shouldn't do that. Apparently that could be bad for your insurance.
Well, I mean, that the insurance isn't going to know if I say that to the person. If I was on the phone to my insurance people and it was the other person's fault, I'd tell them.
I'm sure I heard somewhere that if you're involved in an accident and you like something about admission to it.
Yeah, but that's but that's what I'm saying. They don't take admission on the scene, which is you talking to the other person.
Okay.
It's when you phone your insurance people, they say, "Was it your fault?"
And you say yes.
Yeah, both times I've said yes.
Yeah, and they've just kind of gone.
No, they just go, "Okay, we'll deal with it."
Fair enough. The only time I've been like involved in anything remote like that was when I accidentally like bumped a car in front of me when traffic was really busy on a roundabout. But it was like at such a speed that you could have probably walked into the car faster.
Yeah.
But he wasn't happy, to be honest. He got out.
Was there any damage on his car?
Nothing. I was going so
happy.
slow. Well, I bumped and it rocked his car a bit, and he got out, and then he was like, "Oh, there's no damage," and then he was okay.
Fair enough.
But yeah, okay. So you need to be better with your driving.
Yep, I now know 2 things not to do while driving.
Which are?
Reverse too fast, and don't ever turn right at a crossroads without checking, double checking to make sure there's no cars.
How do you reverse too fast?
I went too fast.
But like, did you accelerate reverse?
Yeah.
How fast were you
what?
going? Oh,
sorry. Do you only use the clutch?
Yeah, for me I do, because I drive an automatic.
We don't have a clutch.
Well, yeah, you do.
Well, you don't.
Your brake and clutch are essentially the same pedal, but so.
No, Liam, no. I'm not going to let that slide.
Yeah.
When you press a clutch down, it disconnects the gears,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
When you press the brake, it stops your car moving. If your clutch and your brake are effectively the same thing, you need to go and get your car sorted.
No, so
that is dangerous.
Okay, so in an automatic, right? You know how normally when you drive, you get the clutch to the braking point and all that sort of bullshit.
Yeah, an automatic also automatically does that, right? You go into drive and it will slowly creep you forward.
Right, you control that creep using the brake essentially.
Yeah, no, but that's just you braking. That's not it acting as a clutch. That's you stopping it creeping by pressing the brake.
Yeah, so that's how you reverse with it.
Yeah, is it automatically rolls you? But that's very slow.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I said. So
silly.
if I was to then push the accelerator, I would reverse very fast. So I don't do that.
You're missing out on a lot of thrills in life.
And crashes.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. You know how like you passed your driving test like years and years ago,
Yeah.
and then you were like, "I'm going to get a car," and we were all like, "You should probably do another driving lesson," and just sort of.
Yeah, and then I did.
Yeah, yeah. How did that not help, or like what happened?
I mean, the thing is, Liam, it's all well and good being all high and mighty, right?
Yeah.
But one, you don't drive at night.
I do.
So you shouldn't.
Yeah, I know, but I do.
Right, well, stop doing that.
Nah.
Two, you drive like an old man.
Yeah, I do.
So, like, it's very easy to be like, oh, how are you crashing so much when you're not crashing? But you're going to eventually, Liam, you're going to have an accident.
Oh, yeah,
And
I'm sure.
when you come to me for help and you call me and you say, Ellie, I've broken my legs, I need assistance, the hospital's not answering, I'm worried, you need to come get me, I'm going to laugh and I'm going to say, no, remember when you laughed at me for reversing into a car? I refuse.
Yeah, I mean, if I get into a hospital and have my legs broken by reversing into a car, that would be impressive.
Yeah, it would be insane.
Yeah. The thing, I don't want to jinx myself.
Yeah, well, I hope you do.
But
just so
I
you learn a
have
lesson
been driving
about
like
not being a
over
dick.
10 years now, and the most serious crash I had was that little tiny bump that I just mentioned where there was no damage.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, right? Everyone can go for periods of times like that.
Oh yeah, all it takes is one bad crash, and then you can
Yeah,
die.
like the amount of time you've been driving doesn't really. I mean, it probably does correlate to like the likelihood of you crashing, but it doesn't stop you crashing. Just
well,
'cause
that's
you've been driving 10
why
years.
your insurance is higher in the first year, because that's when you're most likely to crash and stuff.
Yeah, there we go. I'm still in that range.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just doing the expected, Liam.
Yeah, that's going to be so expensive next time.
I don't. I just might stop paying insurance and just not drive.
Okay, that's going to make life harder, isn't it?
I mean, it would, but also if I can't afford to pay the insurance, that'd be it.
Yeah, but then how are you going to get to me?
You'll have to start coming to me.
But you live with your parents.
You can still stay here, Liam.
It would be weird.
You've always said you want to meet my parents.
I do, but I don't want to like have a sleepover with them.
They wouldn't sleep over with you.
Why not? It's a legit question.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you'd freak them out a little bit after a while.
No, I'm very polite around parents.
Yeah, but not around me, and I would be asking all the weird questions.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Kempster. How are you? How's life at the office? How's those burn victims doing? Just small talk, innit?
Very good. You did such a good job there.
This is going to sound really weird to anyone that doesn't know the occupations of your parents.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Yeah. What else you been up to?
Came out of work.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. That all went well?
Yep, all fine.
Good.
Oh, I had my actual NHS appointment about it.
What about coming out at work?
No, the actual NHS appointment for like the GIC, the Gender Identity Clinic.
Oh, okay. How did that go?
Well,
What does that mean?
it went well. Like,
Oh!
it was what I
Right, so I thought you meant like well, as in you were about to then be like, not so good.
Oh no, sorry, yeah, it went well, as in it went like exactly, or well, pretty much how I thought it would go.
Which is?
Them being like, we don't give hormones on the first visit, and I went, yeah, I know, that's why I'm private, because I knew you wouldn't give them to me.
Yeah.
Then they were like, oh, okay, well, we prefer if people do it in our order, and I went, that's fine, I haven't, because I'm not waiting to. I said to him, I was like, I wasn't gonna wait a year and a half
Yeah.
extra just because the NHS takes so much longer than everyone else.
And what did
And
they
were
say
like,
to
"Oh,
that?
right." She went, yeah, that's fair. And I was like, yeah, because everyone, like half their clients probably do it.
I mean, if you can afford to, right? What's stopping you?
No, exactly, yeah. That's
That's
the
what it
thing.
comes
It's
down
all-
to, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because I imagine it's cheaper
It's
to
because
do
they've got to
through
have
the
their own
NHS.
people check you. So they're like worried that a private doctor, I imagine they're worried, would just be like, sure, go for it. But like, I went to one who had all the psychological checks and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
fuck it.
Like through the NHS, is it free essentially, or do you still pay?
Yeah, it'd be the, like getting prescribed anything by the NHS.
Right, so you just pay the prescription cost.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not so bad, I guess.
Nope, that's fine.
So, right, if you start doing the private stuff,
Mhm.
and then the year and a half goes, and they're like, cool, can you then like switch to having it with them so it's cheaper?
Yeah, that's effectively what the private people are used for, and there probably are people that just stay private, but
Yeah.
that's what, I imagine most of the private doctors' clients are doing that.
Okay.
Using it as it's called a bridging service, where you're filling the gap
Yeah.
between the NHS, because the NHS is super underfunded on this and other stuff,
Yeah.
but also on this.
I mean, on a lot of stuff at the moment.
Yeah.
I was, bizarrely enough, I think yesterday, I was watching this interview. Like the Joe Rogan podcast?
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I don't either. I feel like I know a lot of people that are like, I like him, but I'm not convinced.
I think his podcast is interesting, and I think they sometimes discuss interesting topics on it. But I saw one of his stand-ups on Netflix, and it was really bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was terrible. But anyway, so I was watching this thing, and it had Mel Gibson of all people on, and they were talking about Mel Gibson's dad was 92 and was having loads of hip problems or something, and they took him out of America down to Panama to do some like stem cell stuff.
Yeah,
because it wasn't getting like the whole FDA approval thing it has to do in America, but down in Panama, apparently there's like lots of doctors that are basically working down there because they're not so restricted, particularly with like stem cells. There's this There's a lot of controversy in America about that, with the whole like babies have rights and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, and he was just sort of advocating like how successful the treatment was and all this sort of stuff, which was obviously interesting to me because stem cell treatment is one of the areas they're looking at to fix the eye problem I've got. But yeah, so this was just like to do hip thing, and it's one of those things that I've heard about but didn't really know a lot about, and it was an interesting discussion. Like they had a doctor on as well that was kind of providing the medical explanation of it all.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like, it was really interesting seeing it come from someone like Mel Gibson, who nowadays isn't really associated with being a particularly positive voice.
No.
So yeah, I can't remember how I got to... Oh yeah, so I've had one of the comments on the YouTube channel was saying, and it made some sort of sense, that because particularly in America, the whole like pharmaceutical industry is so profit focused, and the whole like medical industry is built around essentially making money. They were saying one of the reasons why America is so keen to like put all these restrictions in place for things like stem cells is that they don't really want to be curing diseases. They just want to be treating them, getting them manageable, and getting people relying on medicine for them.
Yeah, see, I hear
it's
this
huge, like conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it's a huge one, and it's one that I think is just stupid.
It's
right?
Crazy
because it's like the whole like the like theoretical cure for cancer, where people were like, oh, the government's probably already cured it, and they're just keeping it back, and you're like, well, what? Just the government are keeping it back so that the pharmaceutical industry makes money, but that doesn't help the government because then their population slowly dies, which is income tax and taxed in all sorts of ways.
But surely
it cannot be worth it.
Overpopulation problems already.
I don't think the government are worried about overpopulation.
Do you not? Because surely that
no,
plays
obviously
into
not. Because the government makes money off populations.
But if there's not enough jobs and all this sort of stuff, and then you've got like rising issues with that, and then you've got more people reliant on the state for job seekers allowance and all that sort of stuff, surely that kind of does become a bit of an issue for them.
I don't think it does. Also, think about what you're saying, Liam. You're suggesting that the government is willingly killing people, which is ridiculous.
Well, it's one of those things where it's not like they're willingly; they're just
no, that would be
allowing it to happen.
Yeah, which is the same, Liam, in that situation. If you have a cure for cancer,
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I believe that conspiracy theory. I just think it's like
Liam. Here's the thing with conspiracy theories. You know me. I'm always up for a devil's advocate argument.
Yeah.
With conspiracy theories, it is not helpful. It is only harmful, because the thing with conspiracy theorists is the moment they hear an argument that helps their side, they will listen to it. And the moment anyone is like, "Oh no, here's the completely logical reason that doesn't make sense and that you're wrong," they just tune out and they're like, "No."
That's what
everyone in the government knows everything. Satan's in charge of the government.
Is he?
I imagine a lot of them think that.
I find the YouTube comment section fascinating, like horrifying but fascinating.
It's just sad. It's weird.
That's what I don't understand is the amount of effort it takes someone to like leave a comment, which I know like in the grand scheme of things it's minimal effort, but it takes time and like maybe effort's the wrong word. But you have to make this like very deliberate decision to be like, I'm going to leave this either bonkers or like hate-filled or ridiculous comment. Like there's a certain process in place there to get the mind to be like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
No, it is really, really weird.
I feel like I've maybe left a YouTube comment like once or twice in my entire life, and usually it's just something like, really enjoyed this video.
I genuinely, I think I remember the one comment I've ever left.
Okay.
I think it was on a video about space elevators.
Of course.
And it was just me arguing with someone who said they wouldn't work for a certain reason, and then just me explaining why they would.
What's a space elevator?
It's a thing that's attached to the Earth and would go all the way up to space, and it would attach to something in space.
Right.
It's a cheap way of getting things into orbit effectively.
Okay.
They work, is the thing. The theory behind it works. And someone was like, this doesn't make any sense. And I was like, here's why it makes sense. And then I did it in a very Ellie way. And they were like, you're a dickhead. And I was like, I'm not trying to be.
So another thing that just genuinely fascinates me is how many people seem to subscribe to this whole flat earth theory. And I'm like, surely most of them just have to be trolling, right?
No, I think it's a vocal minority thing. Like,
yeah, but I mean,
I think there's only a few people who actually believe in flat Earth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of people that talk about it, but surely the majority are trolling.
No, but I mean, I don't even think there's that many that are talking about it.
Do you not?
No.
It seems to be quite prevalent lately. Like,
but that's the thing. That's the thing. It's interesting. I think it's an interesting thing. It's hilarious for people who don't believe in flat Earth, right? To talk about. Like, I can think of nothing more fun than ripping apart flat Earth arguments, which I've weirdly, like in the last 2 months, I think I've sat down at a table with my friends at meals and stuff, and it's somehow come up, not through me, and then I get to spend 10 minutes explaining a lot of the conspiracies. Like, not even, I take on the role of a flat earther because I find it funny.
Yeah.
And then I just loudly shout at my friends about how the sky is a LCD screen.
Of course, that makes sense. It's like Truman Show.
But so that's what I mean. Like, I think people find it funny to talk about, and it's it's interesting because it's so ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So that means that people like Joe Rogan get on people who know flat Earth or talk about flat Earth because it's interesting, and that means that you hear more of it.
Yeah.
But in reality, there's only a few. There's a very, very small minority of people that actually think that. I don't think there are that many people trolling. I think there probably are people that do it. But probably the main voices on YouTube and stuff, I don't think they're trolls. I think they genuinely believe it.
Well, I think the thing with Joe Rogan is I don't listen to a lot of his stuff, but the one time where I've listened to his podcast like from beginning to end is any time he has what's his name? Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Anytime he's on, I will listen to the whole podcast. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I think what I like about Joe Rogan is he's very willing to listen, and he'll ask like interesting questions, which for someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson makes for a great like show. But then there's other guests he gets on where they're like these alt-right activists and all that shit, and I'm just like, I don't need you to be like for me, I don't need to watch you give them like validation and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's kind of why I struggle with him, I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway, we've gone way off topic. Moving on. What else you been up to?
Nothing. That's me done.
I made a noise in Kat's ear earlier. I went in her ear really loudly, and she yelled at me.
Anything else?
My garden's haunted.
Okay, tell me about this, Liam.
Right, a couple of just weird things have been happening. So, in case people haven't listened to every single episode and they're a bit confused.
Sorry.
What?
Who hasn't done that?
I don't know, but just in case.
Yeah, got you.
If you maybe listened to like an episode, I don't know, in our early days, and then you just for whatever reason jumped into this episode, let me catch you up. I moved. I no longer have Spartan fish in my garden. It's not them that are haunting me.
Oh my goodness, because that was my first immediate thought was, well, you were accidentally sort of mean to your fish.
But I'm now in a different garden.
Is it possible that the ghosts of the fish have followed you though?
How? They would have to swim to this garden, and there's no way they could do that.
But they're ghosts.
Yeah, ghosts can't.
Do you think ghosts are confined by those rules?
I don't know, like ghost fish. How are they going to know how to find me?
Yeah, that's true.
Within like 3 seconds, they'd forget.
That's true.
That's actually bullshit because
yeah,
my nan used to have a goldfish, and she would feed it every single day at the same time, and it learned what time was feeding time.
Yeah, they did an experiment in a lab and did the same thing, but with like a little bell or not a bell, but a noise they played, and then fed the fish, and the fish would react to the noise because they knew food was coming. It's just one of those weird things that people say, Liam. But tell me about what weird things have happened.
Slight sidetrack here. I went to my local Chinese place with Kat the other day.
Okay.
We go in there so much, right, that like the manager came over, shook our hands, wished us a happy new year, and then on the menu it has like ask about our chef specials.
Yeah.
So I got Kat to ask, and he was like, I don't know why that's on there. We haven't done that for months. And then he's like, but for you guys, I'll get the kitchen to cook you up something special that's not on the menu. And he went off, and we got this like bespoke dish made for us.
That's so...
It's amazing.
You sound so happy.
It was amazing.
And I just want you to know how sad this sounds.
No, I reckon there's a lot of listeners going like out there that'll be like, shit, I wish my local Chinese place loved me that much.
No, but the thing is, I imagine our listeners out there are picturing some sort of like, you know, like LA Chinese restaurant where all the cool people are going, and they're like, whoa, these people know the manager.
Yeah, well, shut the fuck up. Let's not ruin that image for them.
No, because I am.
Nah.
You're in the countryside.
Don't worry
It's
about
a very
it.
nice restaurant,
Don't worry
but it's
about it.
not that, you know.
We'll be going there soon. Don't worry about
They're
it.
probably just amazed because you're the only clients they've got under the age of 50.
They're like, if we get these come in a lot, most of our regulars, they've got another 5-10 years max. We
Exactly.
could squeeze these for 40 more years. And anyway, the reason why I was reminded of that is because we were sat next to a big fish tank there, and I was eating, and there was a fish doing a poo right next to my head. I pointed that out to Kat, and she was not amused.
My God, so many of the stories today are just you and Kat not being amused at you. Tell me about the haunted garden.
It's a recurring theme. Anyway, do you know what a water butt is?
No, what?
So we have a thing called a water butt in our garden, which is
A
like...
water butt.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
B-U-T-T.
I guess.
Fair enough.
It's like a big green bin, essentially, but for like collecting water. I think it's...
Oh,
BUTT.
okay, yeah, I know what you mean. Right.
Yeah. It is BUTT. Yeah, imagine like a big green barrel, essentially.
Yeah.
So we've got one of those in our garden. I don't know why. Like we've invented accommodations, so we've got weird shit that isn't necessarily ours.
Yeah.
And the way our garden works is you've got like a shed down the end of it, and then there's a little area like at the back of the shed, and then a little bit that goes along the side of the shed, and then you've got like the main garden, essentially.
Yeah.
So the water butt was down behind the back of the shed. We woke up one morning, and it was literally in the middle of the garden.
Okay.
That's weird, right?
Okay, tell me some other stuff that's happened.
There was a dustpan and brush that found its way into the garden, and you know those dustpan and brush you get where the brush clips like into the handle of the dustpan. That was just placed in the middle of the garden. Now, if that had been like thrown over the fence or whatever, the landing of it would have probably separated the handle and the brush, right?
Yeah, maybe.
And the water butt's huge, so that's not just moving by itself.
Okay, so my like counter proposal to the water butt
Yeah.
would be to our American listeners, in England we've had quite a bit of wind and quite not extreme weather, like
No,
obviously
okay,
you guys get tornadoes.
But where it sits, it's got a shed, like literally it's right next to a shed, and then there's a fence on either side of it, and it's like in a little like narrow path.
Yeah, but
it
that
would
might
have
just
to,
be funneling the wind.
Yeah, but it would have to, right? Go down that path, around the corner, and then all the way like past the side of the shed to end up in the middle of the garden.
Okay, that's quite spooky. It's probably not a ghost, Liam, is the good news. It might be a serial killer, is the bad news.
See, that's the thing, is I thought I heard a noise out there the other night.
Oh, well, that's terrifying. Were you downstairs?
Yeah.
Oh my God, did you just immediately run upstairs and hide behind Kat?
No, I realised that if I was ever in a horror movie, I'd die really quickly, because...
You didn't go and look?
Yeah.
The fuck is wrong with you?
I didn't go out there, but we have a little light that I can operate from the living room, so I turned the light on and peeked out the curtains.
Oh God, you did the peek?
Yeah.
What if someone had just been standing there,
I'd have shit myself.
looking at you?
I'd have shit myself.
That's my nightmare. God, that's horrible.
Well, so the way I was thinking was Kat was in bed, and I was like, I'd rather know now if someone's there, because I can yell up to her to call for help while I grapple them.
Sorry,
And they
just the
inevitably
image of you
kill me.
grappling someone popped into my head there.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was me.
No, they would inevitably end up killing me, but at least Kat would have a chance. Otherwise, if I'd
that's
just
quite
gone up
nice
to
of you.
bed, they could have snuck in and killed us both.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm weird. Like, the way my brain works in those situations isn't the way my brain works any other time.
No, yeah, because that's quite brave of you, and also quite nice of you.
It's like...
Which are two things that I don't particularly attribute to you.
No, it's like, I don't know if I think I discussed this on the podcast, but way back when I was living in the other house, I was there by myself one night. I'd been watching a movie. It was like 3 a.m. I'd been watching a movie in the dark, so the lights were off, and there was a knock on the door.
I think you have mentioned this before, but it just gave me chills because that's horrifying.
So, but the way my brain worked was I have to answer the door, because what if that's someone who's trying to, like, who wants to burgle the house and they're checking to see if the house is empty?
Yeah, see, that's a horrible dilemma you were in there. What did you do? Did you answer the door?
Yeah.
Who was it?
someone claiming to be like a cab driver, but I've got no idea if that was legit or not.
Yeah, so it could have been someone casing.
Yeah. So I don't know if I did the right thing or not in that situation, but I didn't get burgled. So
I think you did do the right thing. I think the chances of it being a killer seem low.
yeah. And the thing
But this is like when I was in the uni house, and when I was alone in the uni house, I would take a kitchen knife up to my room and just have it on my bedside table because I was I was like, well, if someone breaks in,
yeah,
like, I don't care how weird that makes me look if the guys come back and are like, why is the kitchen knife here? Because I would look a lot sillier if I didn't have the kitchen knife and someone broke in and murdered me.
see, I wouldn't like to do it with a kitchen knife, but if I could get like an aluminium baseball bat or something.
Yeah, I didn't have a baseball bat.
No, I don't have one, and every time I talk about it, I think to myself, oh, I should get one just in case, but I never do.
You've got the fake Negan bat.
Yeah, but that's not going to do a lot, is it? It's fake.
But if you held that up, they might just at a glance be like, oh god.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, so anyway...
listeners, just some advice. Don't kill anyone by accident because of us, please.
Also, yeah, is my garden haunted?
It could be. I am more creeped out than I was.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
No, I think it's good.
Okay.
I mean, you know me, I'm like a skeptic.
Yeah, but I don't really want to have a creepy
Amanda's
garden.
managed to do it. You've sort of convinced me a little bit.
Yeah, I don't want to have a creepy garden is the difference. I was kind of hoping that you'd be like, here's the logical explanations for all this and there's nothing to worry about.
Well, I gave you it and it was wind, and then you told me that it can't have been the wind, so now I'm like, well, I don't know.
I mean, the water bat's really big as well. Like, I don't know how the wind would have moved it.
Did it have water in it?
I don't think so.
See, because that's still... It
It's
genuinely
big,
could be
but
wind.
it might not be too heavy.
Because, like, you know, the table tennis table in our garden falls over a lot, and chairs get blown down our garden.
Yeah. We end up with a lot of balls in the garden, but I assume that's just like the neighbourhood kids, like, losing their balls. Like not like footballs, but like little tiny balls. Could be a ghost.
Well, like tennis balls?
That sort of size, yeah.
Okay. I mean, if it's a ghost, you know, the good news is it's just moving stuff at the moment. And if it's a poltergeist, that means that it's only doing... You're in the minor phase at the moment, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Don't communicate with it, is what I've heard.
Okay.
Don't try and make contact, because that'll just escalate it.
Yeah.
And if it comes into your house, move.
But the other thing, I guess, is if it is a ghost, does that not mean that there's an afterlife of some sort?
Not necessarily.
What?
You can get ghosts without an afterlife.
How?
Oh, residual hauntings?
Oh, I don't know what that is.
It's where, like, the energy of a person imprints on a place. So, like, you know when you get ghosts that, like, repeat something, like a certain action every night? Like, every night I see a woman walk down the corridor with a candle.
Yeah.
And she doesn't interact with people, she just does that. That's, like, supposedly spiritual energy, like, trapped in a memory.
But there's not, like, some, like, ghost that, you know, every night moved the water butt.
I mean, you've got a pretty shit ghost.
Yeah.
He gave you a dustpan and brush and moved a barrel of water.
Maybe it's just, like, hinting that our garden needs to tidy up or something.
Oh, that's true. Maybe it's a helpful ghost.
It could be like Casper.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
See, that's the thing. If I don't communicate with it, I'm not going to know.
I mean, here's a fun thing, Liam. Do you want to do a Ouija board when I come down?
No.
Oh, come on.
No. I don't.
No one ever wants to do Ouija boards.
Why do you?
Because I don't believe in ghosts. So I want to do it because if something does happen, I'll be like, oh, okay, ghosts are definitely real. Like,
all right. Well, why don't I come to you and we do it at yours?
That's fine.
So that way, if there is anything there, I'm not left with it once you leave.
I once freaked a friend out at a party because me and Tom Hogan, friend of the show, asked him if we could do a Ouija board, sort of jokingly.
Yeah.
And he very strongly reacted with a no, don't you fucking dare.
Yeah.
Which then, of course, immediately made us be like, well, now we want to.
Yeah.
So we just wrote the alphabet on a sheet of paper and got a bottle cap, and he was so annoyed. And that's not how Ouija boards work.
No. But I could still see why someone would be annoyed at that.
Well, no, because you're not going to contact the dead with a sheet of paper and a bottle cap.
How do you know?
Oh, I don't want to know our fans who I know believe in ghosts. I do. Like, here's the thing. I could be swayed on certain points, such as I genuinely believe Amanda. But Ouija boards were a toy invented by Hasbro.
Yeah.
So how would it contact the dead? That makes no sense.
Well, what was the toy? Like, what was the original purpose of that toy?
It relies on that whole subconscious thing. It was a Ouija board. It was the whole idea was you can contact the dead, but the makers knew it was that subconscious movement thing or whatever it's called.
It's like have you seen that magic trick where you sit in a chair and then everyone puts like one finger and you can lift it up?
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot like that.
How does that work?
Just something to do with the combined strength of a lot of people and lots of points of contact or something.
Fair enough.
Today's episode. Listeners, I apologise. Today's episode has been so off topic. We've covered Joe Rogan and ghosts.
I think it's because I don't have any catching up to do, really. So what you're
But
getting...
I think we've ended up doing a longer catching up with.
Yeah, what you're getting is my mind just going, fuck it, let's see where we go. And here's where we've ended up.
Well, I'll try and let's wrap up the ghost thing. When I come down, I'll try and catch some footage of the ghost.
I don't want that.
Well, why?
Oh, so when you come down, right, if there's a noise out in the back garden, what are you going to do?
Hide.
Yeah, so that's not going to be any use, is it?
Yeah, but what are you going to do? You're going to peek out the curtain and I'll snap a photo?
Yeah, I'll turn the light on, have a little look, and if it's like some crazy person stood there staring at us, they're going to only get more crazy if you snap a photo of them.
Yeah, genuine question. What would you do if it was if there was a crazy person in your garden?
Well, I'd hope that the patio doors would kind of withhold.
Yep. And would you call the police?
Yeah, you'd have to, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Like that's the logical thing, and you do it loudly so they were aware what you were doing, in the hopes that would make them go away.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully it's not that. I mean, so there is like a slight issue as well in that the back garden gate doesn't lock properly.
Right, you should probably talk to your landlord and get that fixed.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Housekeeping. No.
No.